Back in line, you dog! On your feet! Get them going!
A good and glorious Monday to you all. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, blah, blah, blah. It's Cross Examinations. Mike and Edwin here at your service. Edwin's here bright and early.
I was. Before the show even started,
Before the show even started.
Yeah.
Of course, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes after where the show usually starts, but once again, Monday.
So much professional all the time.
Mondays. Why does everything have to be on Monday? Why is this just a question I have for, no one in particular. A rhetorical question, one might call it. How are you doing, Adam? How was your weekend?
How was my weekend? Let's see. Well, our church had a Christmas musical last night, so that was fun. You know, kind of some carols and some traditional songs. And my mother was a performer in the choir, so that was fun too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we did too. We have a thing called Christmas Under the Stars, and I felt so bad because, 20 minutes into it, I'm like, I forgot my mom.
Miller.
My mom's a Buddhist, and it's like the one thing she agrees to come to every year. And it was just so much has gone on in the past. I don't have any excuses, but dang it, man, I'm there and I'm like, usually somebody says something about my mom, and I felt so bad.
What would make you feel better? Would it be better if I chastise you, or if I help you rationalize your oversight?
Rationalizing.
I'm sure people forget their mothers all the time, Mike.
I'm sure they do.
They're only the lady that gave them birth. Was it when you came to the passage about the Virgin Mary giving birth that you're like,
yeah, but here's the thing.
That reminds me something about mothers.
When I was born, my mother didn't want to look at me.
Well, I mean,
you know why?
I can offer some suggestions that might be hilarious, but unkind.
It's because I was a boy, and my mom wanted a daughter, and I was a C-section, and the freaking doctor, without asking her permission, tied her tubes. Because she said the birth was so dangerous, or because she's a little woman. Actually, my mom's not that big a guy. So it's like, but she was having, when you put a bigger baby in a smaller person, it's harder for them to give birth.
Sure.
And so my brother's birth was difficult, and then my birth was difficult, and the doctor was like, all right, you're not doing this anymore, without asking.
Right.
Tied her tubes, and she found out, and then found out I was a boy. She's like, nope, I don't even want to see him. So you know what, Mom? There. I gave her a granddaughter. What do you want from me? Better make it up to her. I gave her a granddaughter. She can have that. Of course, my daughter is then like, I want a sister. How about 4 brothers instead? Yeah, so that was yesterday. Mike, difficult since birth. You heard it here first. That's right, Dark Admiral.
Yeah.
Now you got long hair, so she was half right. Well, thank you for that feel-good story, Mike. Yeah, you're right. She likes me now, though. So, anyways. And now it's time for Silly Songs with Larry. Now it's time for Jill to go get JoJo. So I worked it out with Jill, because otherwise I would have had to go get one of the kids. because she's like, I gotta go out with Eden, and I'm like, well, someone's got to get the kids. She's like, well, I can't get both of them. I'm like, I disagree. So she's dealing with the kids, and I am dealing with you, fine folks. Hello, Micah.
I would just like to caution the audience that Mike is just asking us to take it on faith that his mother does actually like him these days. No proof or evidence has been offered. So
That's true. I'm not bringing her on and deposing her for my audience. What's up, Wrangler? Henry. Let's say hi to everybody. And Melissa and Tina and Ollie and Devil's Air, as before mentioned. Dark Admiral, DJ Peterson, Ollie Pong. Already said Henry. Anybody I missed? I don't think I missed anybody. If I missed you, say something in the chat, and I'll get to ya. Hey, my those Marvel Rivals videos are doing pretty good on the other channel. They're not like
Nice.
or anything, but they're slowly building up. So that's nice. It's nice to hit something that's got a bit of an audience reach, so I can continue to pummel my rivals.
Your rivals. Very nice. Well, you know, nothing says Christmas cheer like crushing our rivals and savoring their lamentations.
It's a very Conan Christmas.
Yes, a Conan Christmas.
I'm dreaming of my crushed rivals and the lamentations of their women. Well, gosh, I guess that's, I don't know. Anything else new? I'm just coming in from a meeting, Squid Grow meeting. Oh yeah, Bitcoin's up to 100. Did you see that hit 107 today?
Oh, nice.
Very nice. It sounds like you don't watch every day. Like you don't pay attention to your crypto, huh?
Well, I've got it making some money for me, and I don't necessarily have to fuss with it every day.
True. Well, I don't fuss with it, but I watch it.
No, other than that, I've just been doing some writing and some commentary, and been doing a lot of research on like the current state of like, kind of like culture war YouTube and culture war discussion, so I can just trying to wrap my brain around that so I can comment on it intelligently.
Yeah. That's funny. I was talking to Wiggle yesterday about like I really would like to see something like we had in the beginning. Like it was such a great opportunity to bring networking, fans, professionals, just bring everybody together under a singular vision. Right. And unfortunately, someone took lead of that vision and destroyed it.
Right.
From within. So you guys have both been going off on CG. Well, because mainly because of that disappointment, because of how much, I don't know, man, I so much thought that could have been something so special and epic and bringing new people into comics and sort of essentially creating an independent comics renaissance, sort of like there was in the 80s, but like this time under a conservative banner. And it wasn't. But I mean, if you look at like what Rip is doing and even Iconic, who I'm not going to whatever. I have issues, but yeah. I don't, they're not like big issues. It's more like me going, what's that guy's problem? It's like, I don't have a problem. What's your problem? I don't know. But I very much applaud their success. What they're doing is freaking great. And so stuff is happening from that, but I think it should all be under Okay. Today I saw the crossover with like Ripa and Iconic. They're like doing a Christmas card together, and I'm like, see, that's great, right? If we could all do that, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
we don't want to steer too far, of course. We don't want to steer, but I will say, Arlene Licklider in the chat says Edwin's Twitter posts are really good, but seem to be causing a bit of snowflake melt. Well, each of us is kind of responsible for our own emotional reactions.
Kind of, yeah. Henry says I have no issues with Iconic, but Doug Ernst blocked me on Twitter for no reason. Doug blocked me too. I have no idea why. Last time I talked to him, he was on my show, I think. And then, whatever. I can't worry. I can't worry about why people don't like me. Weirdly enough,
well, I don't. Do you want a list, or was it just kind of?
Yeah,
that was.
Actually, I already have one. I've started to make a list here. Why people don't...
Number 1, forgets to bring his mother to church. Number 2, an unrepentant troll. If anybody does not know it yet, Mike Miller is. Sometimes I think, okay, Edwin, should I do a little bit of trolling today? No, I'll just say some things, and if people react to it, that's all right. And if they don't, that's all right too. But Mike is a professional troll. He missed his...
I missed my calling. I should have been president by now.
Well, in a different timeline, you're probably working in the basement of the CIA, cooking up science projects.
Doing psyops. Trolling as psyops.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I engage in something that's similar to trolling, it's just a part of examining an issue and getting people to take a look at it and forming their own opinions. Mike loves trolling.
I cannot disagree. Henry says, I'm too holy to troll.
Oh, a holy troller.
Oh, holy trolly. Holy trolly. Add to the list late cross-examinations. Look, I don't get paid for this. I'm not doing this for no benefit other than just to be here for you guys. And I don't... No appreciation, I swear. Trolling. Keep them doggies rolling. Anything else we want to get to? Anything like in the culture writ large that should be sort of discussed before we roll on into the Los Biblios?
I did politically. This is political. Sort
of. Oh, is it the border?
No, it's not the border.
Did you hear about that? Biden is trying to sell. So we stopped building the wall the second Trump left office, and we've got billions of dollars worth of equipment there sitting there waiting to be built into a wall. Biden all of a sudden wants to sell all that because it's just been sitting there for 4 years. He wants to sell all of it for 5 cents on the dollar.
Interesting.
So that when Trump comes in office, he'd have to buy it again at essentially double the cost of what it cost 4 years ago because how much inflation has gone up.
Oh yeah, that's just spite.
It is just spite, yeah. And then I think Abbott in Texas is like, he's like, I've got billions of dollars in my war chest. I'll buy it and give it to Trump.
Well, I haven't dug into it, but it looks like the drone stuff around New Jersey and so forth is still a topic of much discussion. But what I was going to tell you that tied back to you several years ago, I guess almost 5 years ago now, you made a comic book with Trump. And one of the covers, I think, had a character who some might say was inspired by George Soros.
That was the first page. It was not a cover.
Okay, the first page. So what I was going to tell you is just the cycle of things. Donald Trump's designee for Secretary of the Treasury was Soros's top lieutenant and ran the operation where Soros broke the British pound, broke the Bank of England.
Really?
That was, yeah, that guy's going to be our Secretary of the Treasury. And so you're like, do you drain the swamp by importing some alligators? But at the same time, I mean, the guy's a shark, so do you want him to be the U.S. Secretary of Treasury? Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd need to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, but definitely a Soros man. I think Kim and his husband have adopted a couple of babies too, if I recall the story correctly. So,
wait, what did you say? Him?
Uh-huh.
And his husband?
Uh-huh. Hey, apparently the modern Republican Party is a big old tent.
There's old the Sorosian, he was called, the Sorosian.
So one of his top guys is going to be our Secretary of the Treasury, assuming confirmation by the Senate, but that seems likely to happen.
I don't understand. See if you'll notice there's children underneath the Sorosians.
Yeah.
Well, there. All right. That's enough of that. Boy.
I just broke your brain.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that I'm not going to agree with every single decision he makes. Right. It's an interesting one, though.
Yeah.
Wait, is he pro Bitcoin?
I don't know if he's opined on Bitcoin. I think Barron has brought Trump fully over and around in support of cryptocurrency.
Oh, it's not just Barron. All of his male kids. I haven't heard anything from the girls yet, but all of his male children are freaking deep into crypto. They're like, yeah. I've heard from. I actually haven't heard from Barron, but I've heard from the others, and they're all just like, they're as bad as me. So yeah, I think he's listening to his children on that subject.
So what are we in? Are we still in Exodus?
We are in Exodus, chapter 14.
Set my people free.
Exodus, King James Bible Online. I know, dude. Barron is like just a tiny bit older than Isaac, and he's like 12 or something. He's he's a giant. He's
there were
Nephilim,
giants in the land in those days.
And also after, apparently. All right. It is 18 minutes in. We're not going to waste any more time. Share screen, which means this may be a shorter episode. Good, because I have a lot to do. We have to push back the Overton window of sexual morality. The shift left has engulfed the Republican Party. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, Edwin.
All right. Starting in verse 1, I would assume.
Of course.
And do I need to adjust my volume? I'm not shouting at the audience, am I?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good. Excellent. So we are in Exodus chapter 14. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and they turn and encamp before Pi Hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon, before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh shall say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land. The wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so.
Hold on a second. I was curious because um, this is the entire. Is it the Arabian Peninsula? It's
No.
the between. No, it's
Talking about
between
Sinai.
Arabia. Yeah, Sinai, the Sinai Peninsula. They had to go from the top west corner
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to the bottom right of the peninsula. I imagine that's a decent journey for 2 million people to make, right?
Oh, on foot, yeah. So I spent, I spent the better part of a year in Sinai way back in the day as a young soldier. Um, it's a pretty desolate place to wander, and
Yeah. How long do you think it would have taken them to get to that beachhead?
it depends where they started from and where they went to.
Do you want me to show you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta pull it up on Google Maps.
Exodus map. So it is Gulf of Aqaba. So I think it's down here. So they had to go from here. They had to go actually from Goshen. Oh, maybe they could have gone over here. It doesn't
Well,
really
no,
matter.
there
Doesn't
is
really matter. They had to go all the way down here, over here. This is where the crossing is, right around this area here.
there is some topography there. When I was out on a remote site, me and one of my teammates would go run the ridges of these mountains. So there's places where you couldn't necessarily walk people across. And then can you pull this up on Google Maps so we can actually get the dimensions of it?
Oh, there we go. Google Earth.
Google
Dang it.
Earth.
I should have done that. I should have done that. You great googly moogly. What are you doing?
Huh. So
Sinai, Google Earth. There we go.
not being a team player for some reason.
We Google Earth.
You can do it, Google Earth. Be a team player. So here, see,
Here
see
is
this
the
is
Sinai
useful.
Peninsula.
Yeah,
Oh,
because you can
zoom.
see some of the. I think we're turned, perhaps. Oh no, we're good.
Well, this is the direction they'd be heading, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they could head down the beach. This would be pretty flat, pretty flat, pretty flat. But at some point, they got to get over here.
Yeah.
Right here. I believe that is the spot. Because it's the only beachhead big enough. See, this is all rocky cliffs,
Yeah.
right? So you got 2 million people. I think this is the only spot they could have done it.
2 million people take up a little bit of
No, there's
space.
some beach over here. A little bit. But under here somewhere is the Red Sea Land Bridge. Let's see exactly where it is. So the Red Sea Land Bridge is this Nuebe Beach Crossing. Nuebe Beach Crossing. You've seen this stuff before, right?
I don't know that I have.
Really?
Yeah, it never
So
occurred to me to look for
at
it.
this, so there's this land bridge here. So Nuebe, you can't see this. This land bridge does not exist. This is a topography map of underwater. So from the Nuebe to Saudi Arabia, there's a land bridge under here. And by this land bridge in the water, there's chariot wheels
Fascinating.
covered with coral and whatnot.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah, Ron Wyatt found that in 1987. I'm surprised you didn't know about that.
Yeah, I've never.
So let's go to Nuebe. Where's Nuebe? Oh, here it is. So this is the spot. And then they go over here. Oh, this will trip you out. Let me see if I can find it.
So do a search for Sharm el Sheikh in this Sharmel.
Spell it.
Sharm space EL.
El Sheikh. Second.
Yep. Yeah. It was usually pronounced as Sheikh, but it's okay. Okay, so
Is that where you hung out?
Well, Sharm el Sheikh was a little town by where our
Is that you?
Where our major compound was at. So I used to go in these waters here, just off of Sharm el Sheikh. We used to go snorkeling and diving, and the ocean there. The ocean is so beautiful, but it drops off so quickly. I mean, you only get just straight down. That water gets deep fast.
Look, it's John McAfee's boat. Sorry. Too soon?
Too soon.
Too soon.
Might be obscure for some people.
Yeah, I wanted to find... There is, you can see on Google, I've seen it before. I think this might be it. Is this it? That might be it. Just the mountaintop where Ron Wyatt suggests is the mountain of God where Moses spoke to God, and it's just the whole top of it's charred black, and it's not volcanic.
Interesting.
I think that might be it. I think that might be it.
I mean, the Sinai
it is in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, it's in Saudi Arabia? Oh, yeah, it would be.
Well, it's in Arabia.
Yeah.
It's in Arabia. I'm going to stop calling it Saudi Arabia because it's like calling America Trump America. Which actually I appreciate more than Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, that's neat.
That might be the mountaintop. No reason. It's just charred black.
All right.
I mean, I can't think of a reason.
We should probably hop back in the scripture before we go down too many rabbit holes. I think I'll start back in verse 4. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people. And they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot, and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with a high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them. All the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen and his army overtook them, encamping by the sea, besides Pihahiroth, before Baalzephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And
so you figure a chariot can probably go, 20 miles an hour?
Yeah, it can probably sustain a speed somewhere between 17 and 22 miles per hour.
Right. So they could get there. They'd have to let the very slow 2 million people. I'm sorry I'm stuck on the logistics of this. It's like I want to know how long it took them to walk 2 million people, including women and children and old people and all of their treasure and cattle and everything they had.
And all the Egyptian jewelry, the gems
And the
of
jewelry.
silver,
The jewelry was
gems of
really
gold.
dragging them down. But they needed to get that over to the Sinai so they could build a golden calf with it.
And that might have had something to do with the Pharaoh's haste.
I think it's the irony is God told them to borrow the jewelry, and then they made the golden calf with the jewelry.
You know,
Little
it's
ironic.
not like they had just seen a miracle. You know.
No. No, I think the Israelites were very much a "what have you done for me lately" kind of people, which reflects the human nature writ large, right? It's just all of us tend to forget the miracles in our own lives, and I see when I look at the history of Israel, it's like the human person as an entire group of people, like acting in that, and then like God treats them like that, like they're an individual. I'm sure there were always faithful people in Israel, and then there were always goofballs in Israel, but God treated them in mass.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Well, the covenant was made with people, so
Right.
a people. And they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt with us to carry us forth out of Egypt?
I think that's probably hyperbole. Like they're saying, what? There's no place to bury us in Egypt? You have to bury us out here?
Yeah. Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he shall show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou out unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the heart of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, nothing good ever happens when the angel of God shows up.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about the irony of this particular passage. They will know that I am the Lord right before I kill them.
Yeah. Well, when the
right
angel
before I wash them all into the sea, they'll know who did it.
Yeah, when the angel of God shows up, someone is getting ready to die. So if you go forward to the gospel, to the birth of Christ, this is why the angels, when they show up, they have
They're
to reassure
terrifying.
The shepherds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fear not.
Yeah. Because like, nah, oh man, this sucks. What did we do? And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right hand and on their left. And so this isn't like a quiet thing. There is a raging storm blowing in one direction with enough ferocity to separate the waters and form a wall of water to the right and to the left.
Yeah, I really love the way they did this in Prince of Egypt.
And the Egyptians pursued and went after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked upon the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians.
That's one way
Took
to put
off their... Go ahead.
I said that's one way to put it. Troubled the host.
Troubled the host. And took off their chariot wheels that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. And the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots, and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them.
Imagine the greatest empire on earth and their entire army getting wiped out in one move.
Approximately what year was Moses?
What year?
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know, but here's those chariot wheels.
No, I was just thinking in context of the empires at the time, but the Egyptians may have been the biggest thing running at the time.
Oh yeah, because you think about it. I mean, 400 years earlier, when Joseph was in charge, all of the neighboring lands sold their land to Egypt for grain.
Yeah.
And it became like they didn't steal it. They didn't have to conquer it. They just had to save the lives of the people in the land, and they gave them all of their land.
Let's see. Society Reviews ask 1400 BC. That sounds within the realm of reason. But yeah, I think at the time the Egyptians were the peak of civilization.
Yeah. And that's why 40 years later, Rahab knew everyone in Jericho would have been terrified of that group of slaves whose God destroyed the mightiest kingdom on earth that they knew of.
All right.
Who knows? The Chinese might have been pretty good, but all right.
But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord, and believed the Lord in his servant Moses.
They believed him for at least a week.
At least a week. A remarkably thick-headed and faithless people.
Yeah.
I don't know if this God fellow's coming back. Better make us a golden heifer.
It's been like 40 days.
Yeah.
I like how you dropped straight into the Southern accent for that one.
Well, we're stubborn people ourselves.
Yeah, a stiff-necked people are.
Yes.
I mean, pretty much everybody is, though, isn't that? Aren't they?
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody. What do you get out of that, Edwin?
Well, I think the entirety of the Bible since the expulsion of Adam and Eve from the garden, the entirety of the Bible is a series of covenants and a series of lessons for us and to point humanity towards Christ. And, God says exactly why he did certain things so that not only the Egyptians would know that he is the Lord, but so that we could know that he is the Lord, God.
It didn't do the Egyptians much good, though.
Well, actually, there was a strong, and still is a strong Christian, the Copts.
No. I mean the particular Egyptians.
Oh, the particular.
The ones that were saying Yahweh's doing this.
Yeah.
You think maybe they believed and then they were saved because they believed right at the last second? It's
Okay.
Yahweh. I believe in Yahweh.
I don't insist this is the truth. I don't insist this is the truth, but when Christ was crucified and perished, it may be that he went and preached of himself to all the people who had came before, and people have been given the opportunity to repent.
Yeah.
God is just.
Yes.
God is just, and he has the ability to make a just and merciful provision for the salvation of all.
True. Straight. Yeah, you'll be. I mean, it gets so. I don't know if I wanted to use the word trite, but the saying that you'll be surprised by who's in heaven,
Yes.
or who's resurrected into eternal life, and who isn't.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
Dark Admiral March Hare, atheists are not risk takers.
Well, arguably they're the biggest risk takers.
Yeah.
In the world.
They're very faithful people, actually. They have a lot of faith in random, meaningless chance.
Yeah.
They should. I mean, honestly, if you're an atheist and you stuck by your beliefs, you'd spend all your money on lottery tickets.
Ali Pong, something you may want to look up, which is kind of like a counter-argument, a classical counter-argument against atheism, is something called Pascal's wager.
Henry says, I believe God's people were looking toward the coming of the Messiah. Moses mentioned the prophet that was going to come in the future. Oh yeah, man, it's all.
Which is
going through Exodus is like, wow, all this stuff is so related to Christ.
Which is the unfortunate deception of what I call modern Talmudic Judaism. And Christ's own disciples were deceived because they were looking for a military leader who would lead them to vengeance against the Romans.
Yep. Even after, I mean, that's the Road to Emmaus story. Those two disciples, the unnamed two disciples that walked with Christ on the road to Emmaus, they were telling Christ how Christ was supposed to come over through the Romans. And Jesus is like, let me explain this to you. And then gave him the world's greatest Bible study where Christ goes through the entire scriptures and shows him where Christ was and what he was supposed to do, and then broke bread.
Let's see. Let me pull up this verse. One of my favorite verses. I used to have it memorized, but I'm getting old.
Society reviews. Jacob, it's not the revived Roman Empire. That's the freaking revived Ottoman Empire.
All right, I'm going to start a little bit earlier. Hitting the fast forward button, I'm in Matthew 11. And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, what went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind. But what went you out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear the soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went you out for to see? A prophet. Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare the way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there have not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets in the law prophesied until John.
Until John.
Until John.
And that was it. He was the end of the Old Testament prophets. Society says the fourth beast in Daniel is Rome. Turkey was the third beast. Do I have teammates or not? Wasn't the fourth beast? Wait. The first. I'm going by the mountains and the kings or the crowns. So the first would have been Egypt, right? And then Medo-Persia? Or no, is that later?
That's a good question. I don't have the chronology sorted in my mind. Anytime I take this stuff up, I kind of lay it out before and kind of make like a diagram for myself.
Ollie Pong, what are you doing? Looking for Cool Henry. For anyone interested, I posted a new video on my channel a couple days ago. Right on. Drop the link for Henry. Oh, Henry, you got a link. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
The fourth beast was Babylon, Iraq, Persia, Iran, Greece, Turkey, and Rome. See, I think Rome is the fifth. Because Egypt was the first. So Egypt, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and then one that is the one. It's the one that is, right? And then the one that shall be, shall not be, and then shall be again. That can't be Rome because Rome is. When John's writing, Rome is.
Is.
So the beast that shall be, shall not be, and shall be again, that's Islam. I'll phrase it as the Ottoman Empire. It will be destroyed. 1918, World War I, freaking decimated the Ottoman Empire, broke it up, put the boot heel of the West on it, and shall be again. That's the one that shall be, shall not be, and shall be again. Rome is. So Rome can't be the one that shall be, shall be, because it was at the time when it was written in Revelation.
Talking about prophecy, though,
yeah.
I'd just like to say I'd like things to slow down in Syria a little bit. Because the
What do you think about that? Because I'm not going to say I'm a fan of Assad, but I always thought all the reportage about Assad being freaking evil and all this stuff. I'm like, I've listened to interviews with this dude. He's like super westernized and educated and hella chill, and he didn't seem like all the stuff attributed to him. It just sounds like
whenever they take one of these guys out We always get told that he was the most evil, bad, horror, bad, worst person who ever
Yeah.
did anything. And then that particular country just spends the next 20 years in living hell.
In hell,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So just pray for peace in Syria.
Yeah.
The peace of God and not, yeah.
Yeah, that's because I've been saying that I remember watching, I can't remember who it was. It was some liberal Western reporter from England went and interviewed Assad,
Mm-hmm.
and like he was just going after him, and Assad's just like he's like, well, why are you killing your own people and blah blah, and he's like, why would I kill my own people? It's like they're my people. Why?
All I'm saying is, and people have short memories, but some years ago, Senator John McCain went over to Syria and took pictures with some brave resistance fighters, and then somehow, within a period of 2 years, those brave resistant fighters somehow became the leaders of ISIS or ISIL. So make of that what you will. My opinion is that we wreak and create suffering across the world, and we justify it, but well, that's a matter for a different, and I don't want to detract.
Here's what I would justify. When the Western nations did break up the Ottoman Empire, and they put they didn't necessarily put Western leaders in place. They just put more secular strongmen who would, because when you're dealing with let's call them very, very fundamentalist Muslim groups who believe they want to bring in the Mahdi instead of wait for the Mahdi, the groups I'm talking about. It's gonna require a Saddam Hussein to keep the boot on the neck of those people and keep them from slaughtering all the Jews and Christians in their neighborhood. Right? So it's like, you can't go over there and have Mr. Rogers as the leader of these countries. It just, because they'll get killed by, I mean, look what happened in Iran, right?
Yeah.
And then we've spent, since we were both children, right? Iran has been the terrorist state. It's like,
yeah.
Gee, I wonder why. Maybe we should have supported the Shah. I don't know. Even if you thought the Shah was a piece of crap, at least he was keeping the peace.
Yeah. Yes,
Anyways.
sir.
Yeah.
Well, we are probably at a natural stopping point, Mr.
I
Miller.
think so too. If anybody wants to continue the conversation, please do drop the link to the Discord, and we'll have the chat about it. Society of Zeus. Syria is interesting because the Antichrist has to emerge as a leader from a broken nation, and one of his names is the Assyrian. Weird. Isaiah says a lot of interesting prophecies regarding Syria. Yeah,
yes.
The Assyrian.
Well, Damascus has never been destroyed, and that's part of prophecy. So again, make of that what you will.
And UFOs. Woo! All right, thanks everybody for being here. There's the Discord.
And UFOs. What?
UFOs. Woo!
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
Something's going on. Something's going on.
In your brain.
TikTok. All right. God bless us, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next exciting episode of, what is it?
Cross-examinations.
Back in line, you dog! On your feet! Get them going!